This is a full guide about quitting bad habits. This is why you should listen to me, and I want you to just sit down, relax, because this video is going to be long, like pretty fucking long, but if you will watch it until the end, you will know exactly how to quit your vices, your bad habits, your addictions. So this is the concept that I'm going to teach you that will completely transform your life. I'm going to start with the least significant one, and then I will go into the thing that will change you the most, and then I will tell you what is the most underrated one. Let's begin. This is my system for building willpower, and I will reveal it to you in the end. Why not doing addictions and resisting them is good. This is a marshmallow, right? So you probably have heard about the marshmallow experiment. They put kids in a room, they gave them a marshmallow kid, and they told them that if they will wait for 15 minutes, they will get a second marshmallow. And some kids waited, some didn't, and here's the results. They didn't just wanted to see who likes marshmallow and who doesn't. They followed these kids throughout their lives. And the group that waited for the second marshmallow, they delayed gratification. And the results were that they became way more successful in their lives. They had lower BMI, so lower weight. They were less inclined to be obese. They were more educated. They earned more money, were healthier than this group. And this also tells us one very important thing, is that willpower is one of the strongest predictors of success. So before I tell you how to develop willpower, there is a misconception that willpower and discipline are the same thing. They are not the same thing. Discipline is doing work basically when you don't feel like it, when there is no motivation. And on the contrast, willpower is resisting, is the opposite. It's not doing the bad habits, the things that you are motivated to do. But let's look at it in a more practical sense. So, this is me yesterday, took a selfie, fucking look at these abs. So I wanted to watch Korn, not really, just an example. Let's say that I wanted. So willpower is the act of resisting those urges and not watching Korn, even though I wanted to. And then after a few hours, these urges disappear. Now I'm going to plug my community for 5 seconds. You will get a full guide about quitting addictions, my accelerator school, and a testosterone optimization ebook. You will join all of those people, and you will get all of these things. So that's the second thing on the pyramid. This is the baseline of it. Motivation. Why? So not just mediocre will to change. It's not just you thinking that it might be cool to have a six-pack. No bro, this is a way deeper kind of motivation. So Friedrich Nietzsche, this philosopher, has this quote. He basically says that if you have a strong enough reason why you want to do something, you will do it because of it. So that's the will to change. I'm going to give you an actionable step to develop your will to change, but I don't want you to take it right now. So listen very carefully, because I am about to, throughout this guide, give you a bunch of actionable steps. But you are going to keep watching this guide. I want you to keep watching it until the end, and in the end I will just give you the full course of actions that you will have to take. But this is an actionable step to increase your will to change. But there is one more deeper thing that I want to teach you, and I will teach it to you in a minute, but before that. So the actionable step is to create your why. In this actionable step, you're going to create your reason why you want to quit this addiction that you have. And when you have a strong enough why, when you want it bad enough, you will do everything to not do it, to quit it. If you are sick of smoking, I can fucking guarantee to you that you will stop doing it. But only if you are sick of it. So I told you that there is one way more important thing that you can do to increase your willingness to change, right? So doing behaviors comes down to two things. Away from pain. We want to get away from any kind of pain. The pain of being fat, the pain of being addicted, the pain of being hungry. And we walk towards pleasure. For example, you want to get your dream body because you will feel great when you will have it. You will get laid and all of that. This is towards pleasure, and this is away from pain. So these are the two main things that affects our behavior. So all of these things, they shape your actions, And those actions that you take shape your identity. So if you are the guy who works out every day, you will have this identity. And when you have this identity, doing this action becomes way easier. And you have, throughout the last year, 2, 3, 4, you know how much time, you have created the identity of an addicted person. And one of the only ways for you to actually break free from it is to make it painful as fuck staying like that. So you probably know about my transformation. If you don't know anything about it, I used to be fat, addicted, and I genuinely hated my life. I was semi-suicidal, and I didn't want to be like that anymore. I had two options basically. Taking my own life, so this is one option that I really didn't want to take. And the second option, improving it. And I was so sick of it. I felt mental pain every day because I was addicted and I was in such a low place. And because of that, because it was painful for me to stay like that, so the pain of staying like that, so this is the pain that I was willing to endure. So I was here basically, and being here made me sick of life. And basically changing my life, sacrificing today, seemed a lot easier than staying here, so I just went up. Because I didn't want to stay like that. It was painful for me, and you need to make it painful, your situation. You need to reframe it in your mind, along with creating your why. So, you have your identity, right? You act upon it, because this is you, basically. This is you. What you think about yourself and all of that. So with this identity, bro, you got to do one very important thing. You have to make yourself feel like you are not the guy who takes the actions that you take, like you are not addicted anymore. You will have to brainwash yourself to not see yourself in that way anymore. And you need to feel pain each time that you do this addiction. And that's how you will make yourself feel like you are below your baseline, basically level of pain. And that's what will trigger you to change. That's it. And you haven't changed yet. You are still addicted. Because you watched this video. You have watched until here. So don't lie to yourself and say to yourself that you are in a better place than what you really are. You are not here yet. You need to get here. You need to get to this low place. So you will want it badly enough. And you will actually change. After you want it badly enough, this is how you are going to actually quit this addiction, okay? So this is the addiction loop. So before everything else, the first time that you had done this addiction, you had some desire to do it because whatever, you wanted to watch Korn because everyone watched it and, you know, you should watch it too because your friends said it is fun. So you had this desire, and then you took action, okay? You got a lot of dopamine, right? A huge dopamine release. And then with this dopamine release, you got motivated to beat your meat again, and then you took action again. I will tell you exactly why it became an addiction and what is the difference between a real goal and an addiction in a meat. But before that, you need to minimize this dopamine release, while also using willpower between motivation and action. So when you are motivated to take action, you must use willpower to not take action. Because even if you will just edge, I will use edging as an example, like with corn, you know what I'm talking about. Also with junk food, when you really want to eat this junk food, so you will just take it and smell it because I like eating it, right? No. So you will be really motivated, your motivation will go up and up and up. And this is what will happen when you will get close to doing it, when you will edge basically. Your desire won't go down, it will get up in a compound rate until you will be about to do it, and then when you will do it, it will go below baseline basically because it is an addiction. So you need to use willpower to not get to this place. You need to use willpower here. And you also need to minimize the dopamine release. What do I mean by that? So when you beat your meat, you are here, right? You will basically have to induce shame into this place. You will have to reframe this addiction in your mind in the worst possible way, and when you will get here, and you will feel all of this shame, you won't get as much dopamine, you won't really want to do it as badly, because you will know that you are doing something wrong. And if you are currently in a place in which you don't want to do this addiction, adding pain here, the pain of shame, like amplifying it, it's not a bad thing, because you already feel shame for this addiction. So some people will tell you that don't do it because you don't need to feel shame, it will just cause you to gain a bunch more negative effects from this bad habit, right? You already get a bunch of negative effects from this bad habit, so amplify the shame, bro. If you really want to quit, if you don't want to quit, if you plan on staying in moderation and doing it in moderation basically, don't amplify the shame, bro. Actually, you need to minimize it. But if you are serious about quitting it, you will have to amplify it, bro. How motivation works IRL. Motivation hormone is dopamine, and that's how dopamine works. So I said healthy, but this is basically when you are pursuing goals. But before I explain it to you, I want to go over the addiction one. So you started, this is when you feel motivation for the first time to do this thing, your friends told you and something like that. You do it, you get a bunch of dopamine. Dopamine go below baseline. I just exaggerated everything so you will actually realize what happens in terms of dopamine. Yo bro, this is just bro science at this point, but this is true. You can fact check me, okay? Sorry. Go online and see. This is how it works, basically, in a simple terms. Then you go to the baseline, then you want to do it, you are about to do it, and this is not when you do it, right? When you actually ejaculate, it's this place actually. This is the anticipation phase, because dopamine in terms of this context is basically motivation, just motivation. And then you will go down and down and down and down. So a lot of video gamers are very depressed, right? There are all of those video gamers who are depressed. That is why. Video games is a bad habit that reduces your baseline level of dopamine afterwards. And when those video gamers don't play video games, of course they are depressed. You might be a video gamer and you might not realize that you are depressed because of that. I used to be depressed because of that. I was a fucking addict. And that's one of the main reasons why I hated my life so much. Because you are reducing your baseline level of dopamine to such an extent of motivation. And being depressed is not just being sad and everything. Depression is the lack of motivation to do anything. And when you have so little motivation in comparison to what you always had, of course you feel fucking depressed, bro. And in comparison, pursuing goals. So you live your day-to-day life, this is your baseline, and then here you set a goal, you work towards it. It doesn't look exactly like that. I will show you exactly how working towards a goal look in a minute, but this is just the generalized way of showing it. You go up and up and up and up. Here you are about to achieve this goal, and then you achieved it here. And then one more time. You see one thing when it comes to this graph. Your baseline don't really go below baseline, it will even go above it, because you have just achieved this extremely hard achievement. You run a marathon, you got your dream body, you are above baseline in some cases like this one, because that's how goals work. This is the healthy way of getting dopamine, of using motivation. It is to pursue a goal. We are humans, we are goal-striving creatures, and that's why we should pursue goals instead of pursuing addictions, because addictions are like goals, but there is one thing that addiction doesn't have and goals have, is this part. This part is not just you pursuing this goal, so it's basically you pursuing this goal, but the act of pursuing it is hard. You sacrifice, and by sacrificing you are regulating a good level of dopamine throughout your baseline, throughout your highs and lows, so your lows stay the same because you sacrifice basically for this peak. You deserve it. This is basically it. And this is how healthy levels of dopamine actually look like. So I told you that pursuing a goal is hard, right? You sacrifice. You're going to start, it's going to be easy, you're going to be motivated. And here, you're going to not really achieve anything, but you are just going to lose motivation because you have been through this hard time. Of course you are not going to be always motivated. And then you will have to continue and push with discipline, like this, until you will achieve the highest peak, you will achieve the goal. This is when you achieve it. This is how healthy levels of dopamine actually look like. So here, you won't just need to use discipline to get back on track. This is another place in which you will have to use willpower, because here when you go down, when your motivation goes down, guess what kind of motivation goes up? motivation to quit. So this is another very important thing about willpower. It is the thing that will allow you to stay on track and not quit, because you will resist the urges to quit. Before I continue, I want you to understand one very important thing. So before that, you remember the pyramid? So we address this part and this part, and I'm going to address this part, the most important one basically, in a minute. But before that, for every action that you take, there is no only one big consequence that you get from doing it, right? There are a few consequences from your addictions. You don't only waste time, you also become lazier and you regress, you lose progress, and you become more depressed. That's another reason why you should quit those addictions, because they are making you lazier. When you do this addiction, I want you to really comprehend this. When you do the addiction, you increase the chances that you will do it for the next time, just because of the negative feedback loop of doing addictions, right? Your life will just go like this. But if you will choose today to use discipline and pursue a goal and work towards it, you will increase this positive feedback loop that will cause you to make a bunch of progress. Will also make you more disciplined, happier, and to progress basically in life. This is the most important part, in my opinion, in the pyramid. This is the middle part basically, the environment. You can't out willpower bad environment. So if you have a bunch of triggers in your environment to do this bad habit, if you are trying to quit video games and your whole friend group are fucking addicts, you won't be able to quit them no matter how hard you will try. So you need to find the triggers that are triggering you to do this addiction and remove them ASAP, because there is a world in which you don't have those triggers. And guess what happens to you? You get desire to do those addictions like 50% less? No. 60? No. 99% less if you will remove all triggers basically. So in the first days you won't really lose a lot of desire, but afterwards, if you will remove all triggers and you will make yourself busier, you won't have time to do it basically, but you will also not have trigger to do it. And just by the nature of it, you will be a lot less likely to indulge in it. So listen to me very carefully when I say that this is the most important thing, along with making yourself busy. And willpower is nice, but willpower is not the thing that will get you to the first 2-week strike, 3-week strike. So this is the most fundamental problem you will to change. But after that, your environment is very, very important. It plays a huge role in keeping you addicted, so you will have to change it. And this is how you develop willpower. This is my exact system. So you start with motivation basically. You create a strong enough reason why you want to develop willpower. So we address strong enough reason why to quit those addictions. Do it with willpower. Why you want to have willpower? You want to become a stronger person. You can look at it in terms of character. You can look at it in terms of, I don't want to do this addiction anymore, so I want to be strong enough to resist it. When I will encounter triggers, when I will want to do it, I want to have the willpower to resist it. You can also look at it in this way. And then there are basically two paths that you can take in order to remove this addiction. The automatic path, basically you living your day-to-day life, encountering urges just by the nature of living and being a former addict, and you resist those urges using willpower, and then you make progress, because when you do something, you get better at it. So when you resist, you get better at resisting. When you use discipline, you get better at being disciplined. Human nature, basically. And then you go through this loop and you develop a bunch of willpower. And then the second path, the manual one, I want you to basically do both, but the manual one, you find something that you want to indulge in. Make sure that it is not your addiction, not your bad habit, because if it is your addiction, your bad habit, you're making a huge mistake, because you're an addict, basically. This habit ingrained in your mind. And if you will take the path of manual resistance, and you will put a trigger to do this addiction in your environment, you will probably do it, because you are not that strong in your mind yet. You're going to develop it right in the future. Now focus on putting a trigger that don't really trigger you to do it, but it triggers some kind of desire in you. So you start small, and then those urges, you will have to resist them, and then as time will go on. So how to know when to get bigger and when to use a bigger trigger that trigger more desire in you to do this bad habit, or other bad habit that you are more inclined to do. When you are able to resist these surges with ease, and you don't even have urges anymore, this is the sign that you need to get bigger, and as you will get bigger, you will progress by resisting, and this is a loop, the second one. And now the actionable steps that you will have to take right now. So if you don't take these actionable steps, I think that you are dumbass, basically, an idiot, because you have just watched this whole video, you have gained all of this knowledge, but knowledge without practice is nothing. You can't really do anything with knowledge if you don't practice it. So the guy who knows exactly how to go to the gym, exactly what to do in the gym, and doesn't go, he's a dumbass. He spent all of this time learning and researching about training, and he doesn't take action, bro. You don't want to be like him, right? So the first actionable step is to create your why. The two whys, the why of willpower and the why of why you want to quit this addiction. And then you will have to find triggers. Just take a piece of paper and write down. Just think for like 10, 20, 30 minutes about all of the triggers that you have that trigger you to do this bad habit. I know that if you don't take this actionable step, you're a pussy, because this is the most important one. And if you will take it and actually do it, I promise you, bro, that you will make like 80% of the progress that you could made on quitting this bad habit. And then the third step, as important as the second one, is to remove those triggers. And afterwards, this is basically the automatic practice of willpower. Do it. And then the fifth practice is to find the trigger that you are going to use to develop willpower and do the manual practice of willpower. That's it.